Talking about our data, we often talk about the measure of centre. And there are three measures of centre that we're going to be looking at: the mean, the median, and the mode. Let's start with the mean. The mean is one that you're very used to, but maybe you didn't call it the mean. You might have called it the average of something. So when you are finding the average of something, you add up all of the data together and divide by the total number. So if I was looking for an average height of the students in my class, I would add up all their heights together, and if I had 22 students, I would divide by 22. So average and mean are the same thing. The median is the middle term. Now sometimes there can be 2 in the middle, sometimes there can be 1. If you have an odd amount of data, you will have 1 number in the middle, and if you have an even amount of data, you would have 2 numbers in the middle. So in order to work out the median, if you've got 2, you'd have to add them together and divide by 2. Whereas this one up here, you are just picking out the middle term. Really important here that your data is placed in order from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. So it doesn't really matter as long as your data has been ordered first, and then you can pick out the middle term or terms. And the last one here that we talk about is the mode. The mode is the most frequently occurring piece of data. So something that occurs more than others will be the mode. Yes, you can have more than one mode. We'd call that bimodal. And sometimes we have 3 modes. So if there are 3 modes, then you do have to state each of them. So also when we're talking about our data, we talk about the spread. There are 3 types of spread: the range, the interquartile range, and standard deviation. So let's focus on the first one here, the range. The range is a spread of data from the smallest value up to the largest value. So if I was working out the range, I would have to take away the smallest value in my data from the biggest value. The range is one value and one value only. The interquartile range is the middle 50% of your data. So it's the spread of data in the middle 50%. Well, how do we work out that? Here's our rule. IQR is equal to Q3 minus Q1. What does that mean? Well, Q3 is your 75% mark. Q1 is your 25% mark. So you can see that we're going between those two. We want the range of values between those two. How do I find Q3 and Q1? I'm going to be reading them off my calculator. So once I put the data into my calculator and get my values, then it should be easy enough to work out my interquartile range, my IQR. And the third one, standard deviation. Well, this is the distribution about the mean. And this year, the way that we're going to work out the standard deviation is simply by reading it off our calculator. So we'll have a look at how to work out all these values. In this example, we need to determine the mean, the median, the mode, the range, the interquartile range, and the standard deviation. Now, most of these things can be done on our calculator. So the mean can be read off, the median. Mode can't be. Mode, you have to actually look at the data. Range, you can get enough information to do that, or you can just look at your data. Interquartile range, again, you can get enough information from your calculator to work that out. And standard deviation can be read straight off. So let's look at this one. The following data set shows the number of premierships won by each of the current AFL teams until the end of 2014. So we enter our data into our calculator with the calculator instructions that you saw on the previous page. So we're in lists and spreadsheets here, one variable statistics. And when you look on to the end result there, you will find that the mean is equal to 6.6. Now, if I was going to do that manually, I would have to add up all of those values together. So 16 plus 16 plus 15 plus 12 and so on, and then divide by 18 because there are 18 teams there. Whereas the quick way is to get all your information in one place and to be able to read it off. When you are reading it off, it is X with a bar on top. So X bar is the mean. The second one there, we are looking for the median. So when we scroll down in our list, we find that the median is 4.5. Remember, these are all measures of centre that we're finding at the moment. And the third one here is the mode. Okay, the mode cannot be read from the calculator. It's the one that occurs the most. So if you have a look at the data there, we have 3 ones and we have 3 zeros. Okay, so this is going to be bimodal, where 1 and 0 are our modes. Okay, keep going. The range. What is the range? The range is the smallest value, or the biggest value, minus the smallest value. So it is 16 take away 0, which is equal to 16. So the biggest value minus the smallest value. The interquartile range. Interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. Now, if we look at our calculator here, Q3 is equal to 12. Q1 is equal to 1. So 12 take away 1 is 11. So the middle 50% of the data, it's spread over 11 wins. Start thinking about what these mean in terms of the question that you've been asked. The next bit we're looking for is the standard deviation. Standard deviation is XX, and when you're looking on your calculator, you will find that the value is 5.99. Remember, that is the distribution from the mean. The mean value was 6.6. So standard deviation is 5.99. So the age of 23 people are displayed in the following stem and length plot. So remember that 02 means a person is 2 years old. 63 means they are 63. So if we're looking at this data, our youngest person is 2 and our oldest person is 69. And we are going to find exactly the same things that we found last time. So we're going to start off with the mean. Now we're entering this data into our calculator again, into lists and spreadsheets and statistics and one variable stats. And when we read off our mean, okay, we get 40.78 years. Now remember, when you're putting these into your calculator, put them in as 2, 5, 21, 24, 25. You must put the whole number in. So the mean or the average age here for these 23 people is 40.78 years. Remember, X bar is what you're looking for. The median for this data can be read straight off, and the median is 41. The mode cannot be read from our calculator. Looking for the one that occurs the most, and there we have 2 9s, so there's no other repetition there, so our mode is 69. Okay, the next bit, we're looking for the range. The range is the smallest age taken away from the biggest age. So we've already said the oldest person is 69, the youngest person is 2, so our range is 67 years. So between the oldest and the youngest, there is 67 years. What about our interquartile range? Well, again, we know that that is Q3 minus Q1. And we're reading these values from our calculator. So what is Q3? Q3 is 55 minus Q1, which is 28, which leaves us with 27 years. So our middle spread, our middle band, 50% in the middle, the spread is 27 years. It ranges from 28 up to 55. And the last bit there is the standard deviation. And again, that is something that we are going to read from our calculator. And that is 18.64. Again, that is the distribution from the mean. SX is standard deviation.